He's never fought us. Not us united.
My favorite moment in the entire... Maybe I should complicate this before I start speaking here.
Welcome to Comics League. I'm Jared, and today we are talking about the Battle of the SuperSons movie, always known as Batman Superman Battle of Super Sons. So, I'll admit, going into this, I was not as familiar with the Super Sons comics as like someone like Tevia. It probably is. But, so I went into this completely like open mind, fresh mind. And I gotta say, I enjoyed this way more than I thought I would. It's actually astounding how much I enjoyed this because really ultimately what this movie is the quintessential classic DC movie. It felt like a classic DC film where it's pretty much the DC we remember instead of like the preachy DC that we have today. It's also nice to see Jon Kent be the regular Jon Kent that people like instead of the abomination that was in the book in the current Son of Kal-El book. Because I'm like, why can't we get this Jon? Which honestly, now that I think about it, you could get this back. In other words, if this is popular, DC could make the decision in the next reboot to just undo it. Particularly if Tom Taylor doesn't work for DC anymore, he may not renew his contract. So, because reportedly he was pissed that it was downgraded to a miniseries. That's how you know it's canceled, because that doesn't happen where because it was billed as an ongoing series. Then it gets downgraded to a 6-issue mini. No, the opposite happens if the book is doing well. Plus, if something is doing well in comics, and this is one point that I've brought up many times on this show, if something is doing well in comics, they will keep it going for years and years and years and years and years. That's how you know. They will keep it going on longer than it needs to be. So that's that. So, but go back to the movie. A couple things I really liked was, first off, I like the animation style. I think I like this sort of childlike animation because it is very much what you would expect from a Super Sons movie. I enjoyed the Starro design because the Starro design was perfect. Because here's the thing. The James Gunn Suicide Squad, I get that that's the vibe he was going for. It did look kind of stupid seeing Starro like stumble around the city and stuff like that. Where in this one, they sort of made it feel like, I don't know if you guys felt like this, but it basically felt like a kid version of the Alien movie franchise because it has that sort of space horror like vibe to it. And it's like the Starro design has like teeth on it. I'm going to actually pull that up so I can share it. Because it was just so cool that I just can't. I'm not going to like describe it properly. I mean, so the face fish look pretty much the same. But so far I can't find a good look at Starro. But it's like, in this one he had like teeth and spikes coming off of it. So I was like, oh, that is actually really cool. Like really cool. And I liked how, I liked how it turned into aliens. I like how it's basically... I like how it's basically Damian just going, okay, so when they're testing Jon's powers to see what other abilities he might have, Damian just pushes him off a cliff and is like, okay, I wanted to see if he could fly. So probably he can't fly. So I love that. I also dug the humor. I dug the references. My only problem with this is that, okay, so they have Superboy, Jon Kent. They have Damian Wayne as Robin. But my other problem is that so Wonder Girl shows up, Cassie Sandsmark, but Wonder Woman does not show up or is referenced. I mean, that could be in the sequel, which I'm sure it's going to get a sequel. But I'm pretty sure. But it seems kind of odd to have at least what they should have done is have the Trinity's kids and the Trinity in there. At least reference her, because there's a scene where on the Batcave, the taking over Batman has like the pictures of all the superheroes and like which ones have been crossed off. In other words, which ones have been taken over, and no, there's no Wonder Woman. So I'm like, okay, well that's odd. She's a founding member of the Justice League, and we know that Barry Allen Flash exists. So I'm like, why? It could be that they decided that because they had like an Amazonian thing or like a close approximation to Wonder Woman and a Flash that they didn't need it. So I don't know. I also liked when Lois is trying to take John over, and to see if she's a zombie, he basically goes, "Hey mom, can I like stay up all night and eat junk food?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, sure." And he goes, "Okay, my mom's taking over." It reminded me of that Arnold Schwarzenegger meme where he's like, "Oh, actually, here is the Starro design." Actually, I will actually pull that up. I actually found a picture. Thank God. Here it is. So it's that teeth. It's like all the teeth and the spikes, and he gets much larger. But I definitely like this design for Starro. It makes him look more horrific and alien. Hey, fun fact: the kid that voices Jonathan Kent is the voices for Freddie Freeman from Shazam. In other words, Shazam Jr. So that's a little surprise for you there. And let's see what else I really like about this movie. Well, the action was fantastic. I like the way they animate like the Flash. They animate everyone's powers, and I liked a lot how the scene that I felt was a bit much, but in a good way, was when the SuperSons are fighting their dads, and then they decide to switch partners. Because I'm like, well, that's unfair because Jon's fighting Batman, and Damian is fighting Superman. I mean, Kryptonians if they really wanted, they could definitely kill Batman and any normal human. They totally could. So I'm like, okay, that's a bit unfair, but I see what they were going for on that, so that's why I'm fine with it. And plus, it was kind of funny where Jon just uppercuts Batman to the point where he like flies up. So I'm like, okay, Batman just got his neck broken. I really hope he's okay. And so, do I think that this could get a sequel? Absolutely. There is no reason why this movie should not at least get a sequel, and maybe this could start a film series on the SuperSons. Maybe. Now, how will this affect the comics? Now, here's the thing. I know I've said that it's not likely that Jon Kent could go back to being the 12-year-old kid. He could. Here's why. Now he could. Well, ever since the canceling of Son of Kal-El, that kind of changed things. So the way I see it is that since Son of Kal-El was canceled and didn't do well in the sales, that's demonstrable. And since this movie, if this movie does well, and since Discovery wants to, or at least DC seems to be pivoting toward what works, looks to me like they could, if they do a reboot, or they could just do it in the storyline, they could just revert him back to his 12-year-old self. Because ultimately, it is kind of creepy that Jon was like a 12-year-old. It was kind of, I mean, I don't know. It just seems kind of odd. It's like the story for Son of Kal-El was bad. They have a bad rendition of Jon's, and they have the good one right here, the one that people actually like. Because when you compare the popularity of Son of Kal-El to SuperSons, it's not even a contest. When you compare the popularity of 12-year-old Jon to this Jon, it's not even a contest. Everyone likes Superboy as the 12-year-old kid and not the adult a-hole. And yes, I said Superboy. I do not see Jon Kent as Superman. I never will. So this could very well lead to them de-aging him. I hope it does, because let's face it, it's been kind of touch and go for anything related to Superman since Bendis took over. But luckily he's gone. We don't have to worry about that anymore. On that note, I'm going to call this one. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. Definitely go watch it. I give it like I give it about a 9 out of 10. 8 or 9 out of 10. Probably a 9 out of 10, because the Wonder Woman omission was kind of blatant in ways, but I felt it was good. It wasn't enough to detract too much from the movie. So definitely go see this movie, because if you want to see more Jon Kent as a kid, vote with your dollar, people. So stay heroic, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.